Hi everyone. All right, this journal is an awesome journal. This is my Going Places journal, the original book that this journal was made from, because this is an altered book art journal. The original book was called Going Places, and if I remember correctly, it was a type of I'm trying to double check. No, it was not. This was a book about economics. This was an economics, I think a class book, maybe college level, not sure. Anyway, it's all about cash flow, closing and post-closing, antitrust, all kinds of stuff about finances and economics. Okay, so it was called Going Places. And this book, I actually wrote it down so I'd remember, is from December of 2011 to July of 2012. This book is really fun, in my opinion, because I feel like I learned a bunch of new things as far as like materials and how to use them. And then also too, in this book, I felt like I grew a lot. Throughout this book. I tried a lot of new stuff and kind of started to get a feel for the types of things I really like. This book was when I was first developing a bunch of different stencils. This also covers some of the painted faces stuff, but let me get into it. So all the stuff that you see in the background here, these are all stencils that I created and sold back in the day. I might even bring a few of these stencils back when I'm done getting rid of books, because I'll have a lot more space to set up my stencil machine and stuff. So anyway, yeah, you can also see this book, there was a lot of me trying to really get a little bit better, sort of kind of like make that jump between very stylized faces to starting to find my way around with realistic art and drawing more realistic faces. But frankly, I prefer the more whimsical stylized faces. That's just me. Not everybody's the same. Also too, I want to say about this particular book, this baby has 128 finished pages in it. So that's a lot of pages of art that you can look back at and you know, maybe even try out some of the things that you see in it. There are a few pages that are super personal, like this was an attempt at a self-portrait. There's a lot of stuff tied to ArtGeeks. This was an ArtGeeks prompt with my very first ever guest artist, which was Romany. And there's also a dedication to several of my artist friends who I may or may not even be friends with now, but I certainly was friends with them then, and they meant a lot to me and a lot to my growth, and Romany is one of those people. This was directly following a tutorial by Batista, I think. Anyway, if I remember correctly, she did a tutorial on this. I think, maybe not. This could just be similar. I don't remember. Like I said, lots of face practice in this one. Me trying to like keep doing the same face, but obviously they do look different. And there aren't a lot, but there are some unfinished drawings in this one. However, again, I'm not going to try to go back and finish stuff. I like it the way it is. Everything is connected, and then more of my ranting about online drama. Freaking hate online drama. Got into so much of it too. For someone who doesn't like it, sure seemed to find an awful lot of it. That doesn't happen anymore. This was the very first 30 days class. This was one of the lessons in that. I really liked that drawing. When I did that drawing, I really felt like I started to have a lot of growth with painting faces a little more realistically. This was an ArtGeeks prompt. There's a lot of ArtGeeks prompts in here. I love this. I actually scanned this, turned this into collage. There's a lot of that as well in here too. A lot of things that I turned into collage over time. Lots of you know, using different kinds of materials. Like this is actually fabric. And, you know, clearly you can see the point. And practicing drawing hands as well. I did a lot of that then. This was back in the days when I was first starting to do lots of these little flip outs and stuff like that, I know a lot of people like to do even now. This was another ArtGeeks prompt. This was like the best ArtGeeks prompt ever. It was basically a scavenger hunt. I gave you a few things, but then I made you go make your own choices about other things and then kind of put them all together and try to make a theme for the page. And, you know, the theme for this page, it says, you know, can you imagine no love, no pride, no deep fried chicken? And that is actually from a song that I absolutely love, and then it ends, your best friend always sticking up for you, even when you know you're wrong. If you know that song, let me know in the comments. The song actually, and now that I've said that, the lyrics of the song are in the background, so anyway. Yeah, again, like I said, I really started pushing some boundaries, like for instance, which this might seem little to you guys, to me it was, you know, a big thing, but I started doing like things with the hair where I let the hair just like go all down the bottom of the page. Nowadays, I let it go all up the top of the page. I've completely switched, but anyway. And there are some fun, more abstract types of pages, lots of quotes and writings and stuff. This was a celebration of getting my very first die cutting machine, which is how I make all my stencils. Yeah. This was, you know, this was basically just stencil practice. Every time I made a stencil, I would immediately go to my journal and practice it and see, you know, how did it look, how could it be used. So these were stencils that I made. Again, more transitioning where I'm like, okay, I really like the more stylized, whimsical faces, but how do I make them my own? You know, how do I go from just that very neat, you know what I mean, basics to something with a little character, something that says a little something about, you know, me as an artist, or gives them a little character of their own. This was a page for a class. I forget, I think the class was called something background. Oh, I can't even remember my own class names. Anyway, this was a fun page that I did to explain the concept of that class. This was another page, I think, that was for that class too. I can't remember for sure. This was a video that I did for, I made this whole thing was done with just using a single stencil, and then obviously lots of spray paint colors and that type of thing. Again, more practice. I went through a phase where I painted a lot of seascapes, and I was trying to find a way to bridge them together. It still feels awkward, so. This was another ArtGeeks prompt. I believe this was Romany's prompt, where she challenged us to use a single color, but have different tints and shades of it. And so that was this, and I'm pretty sure there was a video for it. I don't know if all those videos are online anymore. I lost a lot of them when I got tricked by that terrible video site Vimeo, and they just erased a bunch of, I hate those people with a passion. Like, if there was one type of company that I would try to help artists with online, if I had, you know, like unlimited amounts of money, would be a fair video hosting company that doesn't charge you $500 for videos that get maybe one view, you know, in a month because they've been up there for 3 or 4 years, but yet they still think you should pay full price, whatever. This was the background art and the main painting for the original Painted Faces 1 class. I was so excited to teach, and threw so much of myself into that very first class, only to get huge amounts of kickback because the faces didn't use authentic face colors. The hair wasn't done right. I mean, nowadays everyone does hair this way, but back when I made this class, one of the complaints I got was, well, hair doesn't look like that. and faces aren't blue and pink. You know, it's just, and I'm not bitter or anything. I didn't understand that I was simply ahead of the curve. And instead I thought, every time I heard things like that, I thought I was a bad artist. Every time someone, you know, jumped down my throat for unusual choices, I thought, I suck, I'm terrible. And really, I was just either ahead of the curve or frankly setting the trend. You know what I mean? So my views on it have changed a lot. This was another, I believe, an ArtGeeks prompt, if I remember correctly, called Duality. This, I believe, was when I took Susie Blue's class. The only face class I've ever done, and that class was colored pencils, and I suck at, I'm better now, but I really sucked at colored pencils. So I took the class in order to try to get a little bit better, or at least find a reason to even own colored pencils, even though one of my best friends is a very accomplished colored pencil artist. And although I did love the class and it was incredibly inspirational, it didn't help me like colored pencils anymore than not using them. I did most of it with paint. But, you know, it was, again, it was a great class. I absolutely loved it. Love her. Hope she's doing well. This was a page dedicated to Susie. This was a page dedicated to Romany. This was a page dedicated, 2 pages, a double page spread dedicated to Kelly. And I think that's it for page dedications to friends. This, I think, was maybe an ArtGeeks. I'm not sure. I know that a lot of this is using my own art as printables. So this was one of my printable collections. I think, in fact, this was originally created, the imagery that's used here was originally created as a digital art journal page, and then I liked it so much that I printed it out. That's why I do digital art journal pages, so that I can print them out and cut them up, and cut it up and turned it into this. This, again, I don't remember if this was an ArtGeeks or if this, I think it was, because it was something like, do something that you don't think you could do. And I didn't think I could draw a figure at all. And, you know, she's got some issues, but it was a figure, a completed figure, and I was super, super happy with it. More face drawing. I think this one might have even been for a class, trying to teach people how to use a grid. A lot of these pages were scanned, and I removed the color from them and turned them into a digital download collection. Yeah, these pages as well. These are, I believe these are still available on my Etsy even, if I remember correctly. These as well. That's the end of that. This again was another one where I was trying to do just one stencil. Basically, again, testing 1, 2, 3, because I made the stencil, I immediately needed to test it and see all the different fun things I could do with it. This, I believe I ended up using as the cover of something, a class or something, I don't remember, but I loved this page as well. And then also too, this was just stencil testing, but frankly, I liked it so much, I did nothing more with it. And I do believe I scanned both of these and used them in a digital collage collection also. This one I think was a part of a digital collage collection too. A rose by any other name is still a rose. I was testing out my Girl Sprites Rose stencil. This was definitely a YouTube video, probably an ArtGeeks lesson. It doesn't say. It might have been a lesson for a different class. I was really into this kind of thing for a while. Glitter into hair. This was like, I'm just not feeling it, so this is what you get. And that's what the journaling says. Your up and down, good, bad, happy, sad, angsty, and neurotic personality is starting to drive even me away. I was talking about myself, in case you weren't sure. because it says here, for such a smart woman, I can be so dumb sometimes. Anyway, and like using lace and all kinds of different stuff to create pages. And then I felt like I had kind of a bit of a breakthrough because I was making books for the first 30 days class, and I had all these leftover cutaway pieces, and I decided to use them to make a page, and I did the page, as you can see here, as a tip-in, because I actually took my whole book, or no, I'm sorry, I glued a page in. I took this whole page to the sewing machine, and you can see like this is all sewn around. This is sewn on, this is sewn on, and I really, really loved doing that, and I felt like it was a breakthrough moment for me where I felt like I was really starting to bring in my mind, my idea of mixed media to another level, and was super happy about it. This was when I was on a masks kick, and I drew masks on all kinds of people. I used one of the masked images for the ArtGeeks logo. Here I was just playing with some of my favorite colors and spray inks and just enjoying myself in general. Some of these are like, this is a pencil portrait, and that's why it doesn't come across very well on camera, but on person you can see it and it looks good. And this was definitely a lesson or an ArtGeeks page, definitely. Again, just more practice at drawing. Always practicing, always practicing. I don't know what this was about, but it says exit to the left. I don't know. Who knows? I remember this page. I love this page to this day. I still love this page. This is like a combination of collage and paint and pattern, and it just makes me incredibly happy just to look at it. Probably one of the, this one along with this one are some of the pages that I will super miss not owning anymore. But I'll be happy that someone owns this and maybe even has fun looking through it, and maybe even they try out some of these things. I'm pretty sure this was an ArtGeeks video. Here was another thing where I was playing with the painted faces, but I don't know if this went into the class. I don't think it went into the class, but it might have been that I was either using it for background imagery or I was testing out the stencil that I made, which I used for all the physical CDs that I created for that class. Never do that. This one I loved so much that I scanned and turned it into digital art as well. This was a technique that I kind of started putting together for myself, where I would put down gesso and impress a bunch of texture into it, which I don't even know if that comes across. But there's all kinds of pattern and texture in it, and then I would paint over it. Yeah, and this was definitely an ArtGeeks page, and I forget what it was about. Yeah, it doesn't say what it was about, but I know it, Under the Sea. I think it was called Under the Sea, but anyway, yeah, that was definitely an ArtGeeks one. This was when we're getting close to the end, because I started getting into using ink versus using spray ink. So, and by ink I mean these kinds of things, and also black brush pens and stuff like that. So I kind of made a shift there away from paint, and probably because I was away from the house a lot. That generally is when that happens, when I don't want to carry paint around, so I carry things that are wet media but not wet media. More of that going on in these two. Also too, usually if I'm stuck like sitting in a hospital or whatever, just ink is easier to work with. This one I really liked, I Can't Be Strong Today. This, I apparently blacked out what was there and was probably going to add something to it and then just never did. I do that a lot. Basically what happens, like this says, I am done. So I probably had a rant on here about something personal and was like, no, don't want the world to see that. And if I remember correctly, I scanned this page so that I could have this part right here. And yeah, that's probably how that came about. I love this little painting. We're almost done with this. My Little Birdies that I love so much. Someone asked me to do cupcakes. I think it was Layla. And I was like, cupcakes are too easy and make you fat. And then this is interesting writing. And at the end of it, it says, I need a cupcake. So I'm not really sure. I love this page. Loved it so much at the time I made it because I really just super love ink and paint together, and yeah, I just like it. So, and I thought the face was really cute too. And this was a dream I had that was heartbreaking because years later I did actually lose my cat, and this dream was about losing my cat years beforehand, so it's kind of creepy, but anyway. And again, just another page that I really loved. I was so into my stencils that I just stencil everything, everywhere. All right, and that's the end. And like I said, this is a whopping 128 pages. It is painted both front and back. It even has a picture of my daughter on it. And it does not have a title. So, I mean, it does have a title. It's called Going Places, but it's not on the spine. I rarely put titles on the spines. Anyway, this book will be going up on Etsy because of the size of it, and for a couple of other reasons. This will be a little bit more on the expensive side than some of the others. I'm trying to do a variety of pricing to sort of meet the needs of everyone and try to make it affordable. But I will say, because I've already had this conversation with someone on Etsy, if there is one journal that you particularly super want that has meaning to you or for you, and it's just a little out of your reach, or the shipping shoves it out of your reach, do not hesitate to message me. I will do my best to try to work with you somehow to make that happen, because although I need money and money makes the world go round, I also want these to be in the hands of people who really appreciate them. And so I want to make it so that everyone gets a chance to, you know, own one if you wanted one. Okay, not, you know, I'm not trying to, you know what I mean. Anyway, all right, thank you.